You have a choice. Uh, so two people have answered. Okay. Basically, what it's about is why is learning about leadership important for you? Is it from a professional standpoint? Is it from a personal standpoint, or just you want to get more information? Okay. Time, let me admit someone else. So I'll give it a few minutes, and this also buys a little bit of time until we have some people that are just now joining. Okay. So it looks like so far most people think that leadership is important from a career standpoint or for their professional growth. So I think you guys see the this is the first time I've used polling in Zoom. You guys actually see the screen where it shows the percentages and everything?
I personally don't.
What do you see?
Maybe
Anything?
it's no. I mean, I just see you. I don't see any poll.
You don't see a poll?
No, no, I don't. No. Well, I mean, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay. So basically, what it shows about approximately 90% of people think that learning about leadership is important from a career and professional
Uh-huh.
growth standpoint. Approximately 44% think it's important for personal growth. Personal growth. Okay. So there's a reason I created that poll. So let me go ahead and close it out. Okay. There's a reason I created that poll, of course, which was, let me share results. Okay. So you guys will be able to see the results. You guys can see it?
Yeah, we can see. Yeah.
Okay. So basically, again, almost 90% say it's important from a career professional standpoint, 44% for personal growth. So, and I think that's probably appropriate because most people learn about leadership primarily from a professional standpoint, right? For their jobs. That's what we find. Okay. So let me go ahead and stop that. And then later on, we're going to do a couple more polls. Okay. So let me go ahead and close that out. And again, we'll go ahead and get started with the material. Thank you everybody for joining us. Hopefully everybody can hear me clearly. Let me go ahead and share my screen. All right. And the only thing I ask is if you have questions, wait towards the end to ask questions. Okay, that's the only thing I ask. And then you have a little icon on the screen that you can actually raise your hand. That way I know, it's organized in terms of how people ask questions. So,
Oh my god, yeah.
okay.
This is so educational. Wow. You see, now I can see your screen, but before I couldn't. Now I do.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
Okay, so you guys all see the presentation, correct? Yep.
I do.
Everybody else see it? Yep.
Yes.
All right. So
Yep.
basically what I'm going to talk about are the qualities of effective leadership. This is intended to run until approximately 10:15, maybe 10:30. I'll let it run a bit longer because I know some people joined us a little bit late. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a personal introduction for those that don't know me. Quite a few of the people here either work with me presently, or the people that have been students at our facility. So I think in general, most people I do know, but there might be a few that I don't. Okay, I'm going to
Yeah.
also give a introduction in terms of my professional background, uh, which lends itself to why I'm giving a presentation about leadership. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and do a very high-level summary of the Dreams in Motion organization. Okay. I will actually be talking about how do we define, what is the definition of effective leadership. Now, I'm not going to say leadership, effective leadership. That's the key point. Okay? And I'll go ahead, I'll try to go at a good pace. I think I am the only one here that English is my first language. So I will try to go in a way that is easily understood. I think pretty much everybody here has a pretty good proficiency level, so I don't think there's going to be any problems. And then I'm going to do a summary. Okay, so that's what we're going to do here. I'm going to have to occasionally check the rooms because there's actually a function here where people that are waiting in a waiting room, I have to let them admit them in. So if I need to do something for a second here, just bear with me. Okay, I think everybody here is here. Okay, I don't think there's anybody waiting in a waiting room. Okay, but if you could give me 1 second, I will verify that. Let's see. Okay, there's a function here that I want to show. Okay, so give me a second. Okay. And unfortunately, I don't have this set up where anybody can co-host with me. I wish I did now. Because there might be people, as an example, might be people waiting in the waiting room, and they're going to be waiting for a while because I don't see them. So let me make sure. Let me make sure that I don't. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and go forward. Okay, so basically what I'm going to show here is, then we'll do question and answer. Okay, so from a personal standpoint, I'm from Ventura, California, United States. Okay, and you'll see there on the map of California, I'm just north of Los Angeles, about 1 hour drive north of Los Angeles.
Excuse me, just 1 second.
Yeah.
1 second.
Yeah.
Rami, can you please mute your microphone? I think the noise is coming from your side.
All right, I just muted it for him.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, I just muted it for him.
Yes, sorry.
It's okay.
Hello?
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah.
Hello?
Just,
Do you hearing me?
Yes, we hear you. Yep. We hear you very good.
I'm sorry, but the voice, it's not very clear. I'm trying to hearing you, but yeah, I'm trying.
You cannot hear me very well?
I don't know what the source of the problem, but I'm trying to hear you.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's
Yeah.
okay. No, it's okay. No, it's all right. Everybody else hears me
Thank
fine,
you.
right? No, it's okay.
راح أسيبكم. نظرتك.
Off one, okay? Everybody else
Is
hears me?
Mariam,
Yes,
is
Mariam.
Mariam with us?
Yes.
Mariam?
Huh? Who? No, that was Jamila.
Jamila,
Yes.
yes.
Please continue. Yes, I'm sorry.
Yes, please continue. I'm sorry. Yes.
She sounds exactly like Mariam, that's why.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So what I want to do here is, again, okay, let me go back to where I was. Again, I apologize for the breaking the flow here. I have a lot of experience doing public speaking, different venues. Okay. I've traveled extensively throughout the world in Asia, Europe, Central America, and here in Africa. Okay. And I speak proficient Mandarin Chinese and Spanish in addition to my native English, right? So, when you see this map of the world, I put this map of the world together for a reason, just to show that from my perspective, I've traveled a lot, I understand different cultures, I've been in different environments, and to me, that's important when we try to understand people in different countries. So that's the reason for this map of the world, okay? From a professional standpoint, I was in the US Navy for quite some time. I started off as a work center supervisor in the Navy, okay? I became a leading petty officer. Then I became a chief petty officer. Basically, my responsibilities were leading, managing, supervising teams of military personnel on maintenance and operational deployment of various systems, weapon systems. Okay. I then went from a military environment wearing a uniform to working for the US government, Department of Defense. Okay. I was a test manager, project manager for the US Navy. Okay. I was also supporting United States Coast Guard in a similar role for new programs they had. Okay. The responsibilities was basically leading the test programs for Navy ships, Coast Guard ships and cutters. Okay. I've given some examples here. So these are two of the programs that I managed. Okay. So if you look at the left, that's the latest in the United States Coast Guard warship, if you will. So I managed the test program for that. And on the right-hand side is the Navy, latest we have in the US Navy. So I managed those programs as well. Okay. And the point being here is that when it comes to leading, when it comes to managing, when it comes to supervising and having responsibility, this is something I'm very, very familiar with. Okay, and my latest is as the CEO of Dreams in Motion. Okay, and specifically here now in Tunisia, right? Okay. So, and my responsibilities are basically is to lead the strategic growth of the company to be the #1 training facility in the world. That's our goal. Okay? It's a big goal. It's a big goal, but that's our goal. Okay. Give me one more second because I've got to figure out real quickly here. Let me stop sharing for just 1 minute. And let me go back to. Okay, so there's nobody in the waiting room. That's good. As far as I can see. Okay. So, okay. Go back to share the screen. I think in the future, I'm going to have to find a different way for this. Okay. So any questions about the background? Basically? No? Okay.
No,
Let me go ahead and.
No,
I-
thank you.
Okay. Let me minimize.
no, thank you. Excellent.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
excellent job. You always introduce yourself in such a way. Incredible.
Okay. Okay. So let's talk about Dreams in Motion Tunisia. Okay. So Dreams in Motion Tunisia started as basically an online organization working with people from about 100 different countries around the world. Egypt and Sudan and France and Spain and Portugal and Tunisia, Morocco and Algeria, Mauritania. I mean, we could go on and on and on. Okay. So basically the point is that as an international organization in an online environment, we've worked with a large number of people from around the world. Okay. All right. We do have a company registered in California. Our actual facility is currently located here in Sfax, Tunisia. Okay, and what do we do? So what we do is we provide integrated training solutions. Okay, we believe the key to success is to be well-rounded in terms of your skills, both hard skills, technical skills, and soft skills. Okay. So what we do is we focus on providing an integrated training solution for people covering languages, okay, covering technical courses, safety engineering, instrumentation, petroleum engineering, quality management, artificial intelligence, hopefully in the future here, maybe sustainability engineering, renewable energy engineering. You know, the idea in the future is to look at what the future economies are going to be. What is the world going to look like in the future? And how can we make sure that we have people trained in those skills that allow them to have a quality career in the future? So that's the key point here. Okay. And then the last portion that we do at the company is we provide soft skill courses, okay? Which focus, of course, on the things such as leadership, team building, time management, public speaking, and other things. Okay, so you'll notice with the company that we try to provide an integrated approach. These things, these skill sets complement each other, right? Your soft skills complement your technical skills. If you're an engineer, you have a mechanical engineering degree, okay, maybe you know all about engineering, but you don't know how to communicate very well, okay? Maybe you have a good command of Arabic, but maybe you want to work for an international company located here in Tunisia, and they have offices around the world, so you need to be able to speak more than just Arabic, okay? And maybe even French is not enough, okay? So the point here is to look at the wide spectrum of services that help people succeed. All right, so that was the background. So let's talk about the actual subject, effective leadership. So defining effective leadership starts with, okay, basically the ability to affect change, right? The key point here is we want to be able to create change, effect change, okay? So that is one attribute of effective leadership. The ability to inspire, lift people up, inspire them to achieve their full potential. The ability to empower people. You know, when we say empower people, means working with them to giving them the ability to be successful in their own goals, okay? When we empower people, we think about people that are working for us that want to one day be a leader. They want to be a manager. They want to be a supervisor. They want to grow professionally. So part of leadership is working with people to empower them to achieve their full potential. Okay? Teaching them the tools, teaching them the skill sets that are necessary for them to achieve that. Okay, and the ability to lead to a common vision. So what does this mean? Basically, if we think about leadership, if you take about a group of people, different backgrounds, different skills, different ideas, okay? It's about the ability to bring all those different ideas, different skills together to achieve a common purpose, right? To lead to a common vision. Look at the organization Dreams of Motion is a good example. So you have Jamila in France, okay, originally from Algeria, but in France, okay? We have people that are spread around the world that work with us to achieve the goals of Dreams of Motion. Okay? That's exactly what it's about. It was when I was in the government and I had people that had mechanical engineering backgrounds. I had people that were previous military officers, people that were administrators, people that knew logistics or supply chain requirements, okay? And bringing in those different skill sets to achieve a common goal. That's what it's about, okay? That's what leadership is about. Okay? So think about empowering people, leading change, inspiring, and sharing a common vision. That is, in essence, effective leadership. There's more, but these are some of the main points about being an effective leader. Okay? So the other one is the ability to commit, okay? We see, you know, leadership isn't like, okay, well, today I'm gonna do this. You know what, maybe not. Maybe tomorrow I'll quit because I'm not happy anymore. You know, I had a bad day, so I think I'm gonna quit, okay? Leadership is about making a commitment to achieve your goal. Okay? And because if you don't make that commitment, how do you expect other people to follow you? Okay, if people see their leader that's not willing to make a commitment, why should they? Right? Okay. The other point is to be an effective communicator. This is the foundation of all other skills, is effective communication. And we all struggle with it. Even someone like myself that's been years communicating with large groups of people, we are always challenged. There's no such thing as the perfect communicator. It doesn't exist. But the ability to communicate effectively is critical. Okay. The other point here is the ability to motivate. So we motivate by providing incentive, by giving people a reason for doing something, right? You know, recognition, right? We recognize people for doing something. Okay, that's a way to motivate people. Okay, so let's talk specifically about some leadership qualities. Right? So the first point here is being principled. What does that mean? Being guided by a set of core principles. Core principles are basically rules that guide our life. Okay, so we think in terms of being compassionate to others, not judging other people. Okay, keeping your word. Okay, how can people trust you? How can people find you to be credible if you don't keep your word? Okay, this kind of goes back to commitment, right? If you say you're going to do something, do it. If you can't, that's fine. Sometimes things change. But to the best of our ability, we should keep our word. Okay, this is important. Value people more than things. People are what make a company successful. People are what makes an organization successful. People are what makes projects successful. Okay, things don't make companies successful. People do. Okay, people operate machines. People program software. Right? People schedule meetings. People give presentations. People teach. People. So it's about the people. So value the people more than things. If you value the people, they will recognize that. Okay. Next one is empathy. So what does empathy mean? Okay. Basically, empathy means trying to understand the other person's situation or walk in their shoes. Okay. This is really, really important. Let me give you guys an example. So let's say you're a manager and you have somebody, an employee that's a really hard worker, really committed to the job, and let's say they're going through a divorce or a major life change. Okay, so they come into the office late one morning. Okay, and let me go ahead. They come into the office late one morning, and what you do is basically you sit down and you talk to them, okay? And you try to find out what's going on, right? Okay, if you guys can all do me a favor, please make sure your microphones are muted because otherwise there's some background noise and I want to make sure everybody hears. So the point is try to understand the situation. If you have somebody that's a hard worker, that's been there for a long time, maybe they're having some personal things happen in their life, maybe somebody close to them passed away, died, maybe they're going through a divorce, try to be understanding, okay? That's what empathy means, okay? Understand somebody else's position, all right? Okay, the next one is honesty. You know, our word should matter. What we say to people should matter. People trust people that are honest. Okay? Honesty is a quality that is very important. I think most of you guys would agree, all of you agree. You know, when people are being truthful with us, when people are being honest with us, okay, we can trust them. Okay? They are credible. So being an effective leader means that people see you as being honest. You're not gonna lie. You're not gonna be dishonest. Okay, respect. Okay, respect is critical as being an effective leader. I've always felt, and I think most people here probably show the same respect to other people that you want shown to you. Okay? And even if you disagree with them, respect the person, even if you disagree with what they think. Maybe they have an opinion. Maybe they have an idea. You don't like their idea. You don't like their opinion. Okay, you can still respect the person. Okay, respect is critical. A lot of people leave jobs because they don't feel respected in their workplace environment, right? A lot of people, respect is critical to maintaining a healthy workplace environment. So something people don't think about, to be a good leader means you need to be a good follower. You cannot lead unless you know how to follow. Okay? Nobody starts off in life being a leader. Okay? Nobody starts off. Okay, we all start off following something. Okay, and the reason why this is important is, again, you have to be able to understand that position. Okay, so you have to understand that as a leader, sometimes you're going to follow. Right. So again, all good leaders know how to be a good follower. Okay, a big one, confidence. So to me, having confidence, self-confidence is crucial, it's critical, because you need to be able to believe in yourself if you set a goal, right? If you want to achieve something, you need to be able to believe in yourself and believe in others, believe in people's ability to achieve a goal, okay? And it's hard to believe in other people if you don't believe in yourself, okay? So confidence is critical. It's very, very, very important. Okay, courage. Courage is something that we think of, we see on movies, on TV, but courage is something every day I think we have to find courage, because every day there's something that we face that we fear. And if you look at the definition of courage, it's the ability to face something even if you fear it, even if you're afraid, if you're scared. Okay, courage is having the ability to face that fear, even when things get hard. Look at the coronavirus times. There are times where people are afraid, right? They're afraid to go to work sometimes because of maybe they're going to get sick, right? Look at the people, the nurses, the doctors in hospitals, right? Treating people that are sick, okay? I'm sure some of them are scared. Some of them are afraid. I'm sure they are. But they have the courage to do that because that's what they're, that's their code says they need to do, okay? They have a moral code to do it, an ethical code to do it. So again, courage is the ability to face your fears, even at the hardest of times, right? And if you look at what Mother Teresa said, she basically said, have courage for whatever comes in life, because everything lies in that. Okay. And again, being an effective communicator, knowing how to be an effective communicator, and part of communication is listening. So first of all, know how to be an effective or active listener, but also know how to communicate effectively from an orator standpoint, okay? Okay, a big one, okay? Responsible. Good leaders are people that take responsibility for their actions and words, okay? They don't try to put the responsibility on somebody else. Right? We see too much, or too many times in this world, people at the highest levels of government in different countries that refuse to take responsibility for their words or actions. Okay, so responsibility is something that's critical, and taking responsibility for your action and words is very, very important as a leader. Okay. The last point here is something that I believe really, really brings it together. The last quality I would talk about is somebody that unites or brings people together. Because we live in a world where, here I am, an American living in Tunisia, a Caucasian guy living in a country predominantly Arab. So to me, I am in the midst of diversity from my standpoint, being in this country. At home in the U.S., I'm surrounded by people that look different than me, okay? That maybe practice a different faith, okay? Physically look different, okay? Speak a different language. So to me, one of the key qualities of leadership is to be able to bring people together, to create that common goal that everybody strives for. And someone such as Nelson Mandela, okay, is somebody that in South Africa was able to create change, and through apartheid, right, through his strength and courage to basically bring not just the Black South Africans, but white South Africans, okay, many of them together, right? So the point is that an effective leader brings people together, even if they disagree with him or her. Okay, that's the point. All right. So, you know, because what they do is they focus on the common values that we all share. Okay, I don't care if you're from Algeria, Tunisia, USA, or any other country. In general, we have the same values. Okay, we want a decent career. Okay, with a decent salary. We want to have a family one day for most people. Okay, we want to have a decent home to live in. We want to be able to eat food. Maybe we want to travel sometimes, right? Take a vacation sometimes. Okay, so we want to be able to get access to a good education. You know, where most people in the world are kind to each other. They're generous to each other. Most people are. So we share much more in common than people would give us credit for. And I don't care whether you're Muslim or Christian or any other faith. I don't care whether you're black or white or what. It doesn't matter. The human condition is that the values we share in common, those things are the most important. And a true leader recognizes that. A true leader looks to find those common values that we all share. So in summary, be a principled leader, be guided by core values and truths. Be an effective leader, okay, is about strength of character. What do you believe in? Okay, that's important. Okay, such as being honest, compassionate, respectful, empathetic, responsible. Okay, also be a leader that inspires and empowers people to reach their full potential. Again, a leader is somebody that inspires people to rise up. Okay, that's true leadership. Okay, and be the leader that can face the hard times. Okay, most companies in the world, not just in Tunisia, most companies in the world right now, they're having some problems, right? They're having challenges. For many of these companies, they had to shut down for some time. Not everybody can work at home. Okay, so many companies had to shut down. Stores had to shut down. So it's a hard time. Around the world, it's a hard time. So leadership is about having the courage to face that hard time and come out better after, okay? Come out on the other side better than you were before, okay? That's what leadership's about. It doesn't always mean that you can be successful, but it means that you should try, okay? That's my point, okay? And the last point here that we just talked about, be a leader that unites and brings people together, okay? That doesn't divide by political party or by ethnicity or by religion, or forget that stuff, okay? Be a leader that brings people together. That's very, very, very important. Okay. So what I want to do real quickly before we go to questions and answers is I'm going to share another poll. Okay. So this poll is going to be about, give me a second here. I talked about some qualities, okay, that are important. So I would like for you guys to tell me from your perspective, what qualities you think are the most important. Out of all the qualities we talked about, which ones do you believe are the most important for an effective leader to have? About another minute or so. I know that okay. So again, think about it this way: if you principle, empathy, right? Principle meaning that you have a set of guidelines that you follow in your life. Empathy, you try to understand somebody else's position. Honesty, you're being truthful with people, being respectful for somebody, okay? Being a follower, being confident, having courage, being an effective communicator, being responsible, and unites people, okay? So I think we have, okay, so we have 10 people voted. So it looks like, interesting. So, these results are interesting. Basically, it looks like most people felt responsible was the most important thing, followed by effective communication. Okay.
Yeah.
And, huh?
What were the options you
The
gave?
option,
Because
you still can't
Yeah.
see it, right?
no, I can't. No.
Okay, the options were basically being principled, empathetic, honesty,
Uh,
respect, follower, confidence, courage, effective communicator, responsible, and unites people. And I'll go ahead and share this.
Oh.
I'll share this real quickly here. So I'm gonna share results. Okay. So you
Yeah,
guys can
please.
see. You guys can see the results here. Okay. So. Said the most people, pretty much 70% said being responsible was the most important.
Is it?
Yeah, that's what people said.
Can we ask at least one or two people to back up or argument for their answer? Why do they think that being responsible is
Sure.
the most important?
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
because I'd like to understand.
Yeah. So somebody that said being responsible is the most important. Why did you say that? It could be anybody.
Yeah.
Anybody want to take a guess?
Come on, people.
Sorry.
Why did you say that being responsible is so important?
Yeah.
Bimini?
Sorry.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. I picked like two other characteristics, but I also picked responsible. I believe that they are all important, of course, and whatever. But like, if you're not responsible, then you cannot actually be a leader. Like, okay, you could have the best communication skills in the world. You could be the most empathetic person. You could actually reunite people and help them work and stuff. But if you're not responsible, then you will not like be committed to the project, or you will not be committed to your work. You will not feel the responsibility to finish what you started, and maybe one day you will just get lazy and give up everything. So I believe that responsibility is super important because it drives commitment, it drives motivation, it drives like respect, it drives everything. Like if you're not responsible, you cannot be a leader.
Okay. Okay.
All other characteristics can be developed, or at least that's what I think. But responsibility, it's super difficult to develop responsibility. Either you're responsible or you're not.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. So Jamila, did that answer? Did somebody else want to give the reason why they chose responsible? Anybody else?
Yeah, I think she did a good job. Yeah, I think she did a good job. But I don't. Maybe this you wanted to do this like polls, right? Maybe you wanted to do different polls. Did you have that in mind, Rick?
What do you mean?
For this section, questions answer, or is it open for questions?
No, it's open for questions too. I just wanted to there's three polls. Basically, the first poll was in the beginning to just understand why people felt leadership, why it was important. Was it from a professional standpoint? This portion right here was basically after we talk about the different qualities to understand what people consider to be the most important qualities. And then there's actually one more, which I'll go to here, number 3, okay, is, this is actually something I could have done in the very beginning, but the question here is, have you ever worked in a leadership position? Okay, because to me, again, there are people that have worked. Maybe they don't even know they're in a leadership position, right? Because it felt not formally a leadership position, but their responsibilities were that of a leader, right?
Yeah.
So basically there are 3 different polls, and what I'm going to do in the future when we do more of these is I want to also integrate polling, because I think it's useful information. I think it's informative. What I like is you can learn real time, what people are thinking, right? You can find out if you have a mixed class of maybe people that are working, and then you have another group of people that are maybe they have different. Right?
Yes. So if other people have questions, they can go. Otherwise, I do have questions.
Okay, let
for
me
you.
go ahead. Okay, let me go ahead and
share this.
if you can Rami, if you can mute your
Rami,
mic. It's the feedback. Okay, so you guys can see right there, approximately 75% of people have worked in a leadership position, right? So most people have. I'm assuming the people that have not, maybe they're students, or maybe they haven't worked in an association, as an example. Okay, because some associations, obviously, you have opportunity to be leaders in some associations. Okay, interesting. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and.
Hello. Can I add something about the responsibility?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. For me, it's the most important characteristic that leader need to have, because when a leader is the first person that we need to be responsible, because if he's not, the other team member will be not responsible. At first, and for second, we need someone who's take the decision, and the leader, the person who's should take the decision.
Okay, good. That's interesting. I think, does everybody understand the difference between accountability and responsibility? You guys know the difference between that, accountable and being responsible?
Yes.
Okay. So right. So you can delegate responsibility, right? But you cannot delegate accountability, right? So if you're the manager, or if you're the owner of something, let's say a company, at the end of the day, you are accountable. Okay? You can delegate responsibility to a manager and say, okay, this is what you need to do, right? But in terms of accountability, there's certain things that cannot be delegated, right? So it's actually a really good point. And you find that people that are willing to take responsibility for their actions and words, both, okay, are people that you may not like them, but you respect them, okay? Because sometimes when you make a bad decision, it's not always easy to take responsibility for a bad decision, right? Right? It's not. But it's important, because part of our professional reputation and life is based upon our credibility, how credible we are to other people. And our credibility is based upon how people see us, and how people see us based upon our actions and our words, right? So it's really, really important, very important. Responsibility is extremely important. Okay. Any other questions and answers from anybody?
I do have a question.
Sure.
Yeah, because I was looking at the PowerPoint and all the qualities you stated, you put together, and also the order, right? The first, then the second. So my question is this: don't you think that this is your vision, right? Maybe your personal vision, right? Of what leadership should be, right? Maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so don't you think that because when I look at, I mean, at the PowerPoints, I feel like there is so much pressure, you know? I feel like you need to be perfect in order to be a leader. So do you think that, don't you think that this is too much? Don't you think that a person doesn't need to have all these qualities and be perfect, if I may say, in order to be a leader and inspire people?
No, that's a really good point. Because I don't think there is such a thing as a perfect leader.
Yeah.
You know, I would make the argument that you know, we all suffer from some deficiency or not having one of those traits. You know, I think, you know, you know, it's not always easy to be empathetic all the time, right? It's not always easy to be an effective communicator all the time. I mean, I'm guilty of that sometimes, that I like to consider myself to be a decent communicator, but sometimes I don't listen very well. Okay. So I think we all suffer from, you know, again, we're people, right? That means that sometimes we do things right, sometimes we do things wrong. But I think the key qualities, as much as we can, if our intent, if we plan to try and meet those different qualities, or to develop or have those qualities, that's the point. You know, because again, you know, I think about my experience in life, whether it be in the military or my government position, or now here today in Tunisia with Dreams in Motion. And in general, all of those qualities that I talked about are things that in most of my professional life have been important. But yeah, certainly, Jamila, you know, there's no perfect leader, there's no perfect person, right?
Yes, yes.
I mean, people are strong in some areas, they're weak in other areas. They might be strong in terms of maybe they're responsible, but maybe they're not a good communicator, right?
Yes.
Or they're very empathetic. They understand other people's situations a lot, but maybe they don't know how to what would be one of the other ones? Maybe sometimes. Okay, maybe sometimes they tell one time. So the point, I think the point is that we try to do our best to satisfy as many of those qualities as we can, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm not sure. Again, it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
You know, they have that saying that it's lonely at the top. Okay, and what they mean by that, right, is that when you achieve a certain position, because you know, being a leader isn't about being popular. Okay, it's not a popularity contest. Okay, it's not about having people like you.
Yeah.
You know, now
No.
if people do, that's great. But people, you know, I think to me the most important thing as a leader is to have people respect you. Okay.
You know, I read something, and please, guys, if you have something to say, just pitch in. I was reading something, and I thought it was so interesting, because, you know, this leads to my second question, which is, you know, leading people is obviously not easy, and I don't know if you can learn that. And maybe I think we've talked about this in one of our debates before. Can you learn how to become a leader, right? Or is it something that you just have? You know, for example, leadership as opposed to managing people, managing project is completely different, you know.
Right.
And for example, when you are a manager, people don't have to like you. They don't. You just give them a roadmap. You just drive, you know. However, when you are a leader, I think people need to like you. And I read something that said, if you want to have a successful business or just a team in general, you have to earn your employees' minds and hearts. And I so agree with that. Do you?
Well, I think that I think that's kind of a tricky question, okay? Because the reason why I say that is because I think if we think about the words encourage, motivate, inspire, these kind of words, we would usually think about people. I don't like to use the word like, but again, I would rather use the word respect, because I don't think it is always about liking. I think sometimes that plays a role. You know, I have worked with people in my professional career, both when I was in the military and in the government. I don't always like the people I worked with, and particularly in the beginning, when I first started, they were obviously more senior to me, but I respected them. I respected, you know, their position, and but yeah, it's tough. I think again, it's not always about getting people to like you and like your ideas. I think it's getting people to agree that your vision is their vision, right? So
Yeah, you know what? Excuse me, I would like to know what other people think, because to me it's a very challenging concept to follow a leader if I don't.
Yeah, I think Ahmed has a question, or what's that?
Yeah, if I don't like them or at least appreciate them. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Hello there, guys. Yeah, I think that a good leader doesn't have to be liked. I mean, whether you like him or not, he stays a leader. So but respect is so important. So if you respect him, you don't have to like him to respect some guy. So if he earns your respect, he deserves to be a good leader, because whether you like him or not, it's your opinion, and your opinion, it's relative. We can have various opinions about different people. So yeah, some people may like him, some others may not, but the most important thing is that he earns their respect, and that's what's I don't know whether you mentioned it or not, but it's about charisma, to be charismatic, to motivate people, to inspire people. That's the quality that a good leader must have. I think, well, respect, and of course charismatic, and to be able to motivate people, to affect people, to even guide people, you know, just guide or lead. That's I believe that those are, you know, synonymous terms to synonymous terms in terms of well, when we talk about leadership. So guidance, to be guidance, to take the initiative, to be respectful. So yeah, that's I believe that a good leader should be respectful and should have the charisma to be able to even manipulate people, I should say. Yeah, he can manipulate people, but manipulate people to be the leader and to guide them to where he wants them to be. So that's it.
Okay. Interesting. You know, and I think so okay, that's a good point. So Jamila expressed her point, Ahmed expressed his point. Anybody else would like to respond to that? I think that's a really good question.
Hello.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I think, from my opinion, that leadership represents protection as the first concept for leadership, to have protect their team. For example, if you have a new beginner in your team, so you must have the responsibility in front of your boss to the mistake that make you one of your team. Don't blame your team, and just act that you haven't any responsible for this mistake. You must have the responsibility for every mistake make and every fault happened in your team. So for this, you represent protection and safe environment that people like this environment, and this environment provide efficiency and provide productivity in work to have this safety, and to have you have someone protect you, and have someone manage your mistake. I think this one of the key leadership must have managed.
You know, Yassine, I'm glad you said that, because that you made me think about something when you said that. One of the biggest challenges when I was in the government, before I left the government and came here to Tunisia, was that very often what you had people that were managers but not very good leaders. And what they would do is they were very concerned about their own political future, their own promotion opportunities. They were not willing to invest into a climate or a culture where the people felt protected, where let's say somebody's having a problem, okay? You know, these managers would often just say, well, figure it out, okay? You know, I'm too busy. That's not healthy, right? That doesn't make you feel good when you're in a company and you're trying to do something, and maybe you need help, right? All of us need help. So when you go to a leader, you go to a manager and you say, hey, you know, I've got something going on here. I need to, you know, they say, oh, you know, I'm too busy, or you know what, go find somebody else to talk to. We want leaders that take the time, again, because the people are what makes a company successful. The people are what makes an organization successful, right? So if you don't create that environment where people feel safe and protected, you know, and you know, where people are not looking at your professional development. Something we do very good in my previous job is that we do a pretty good job with most people, most engineers. When they come out of university, you sit down, you have a training plan for them. You say, okay, over the next 10 years, okay, this is what we're going to do. Okay, these are the schools you need to go to develop additional skills, right? What we call continuous learning program, right? So these are the things you need to do to develop these additional skills, right? And then every 6 months or once a year, you sit down with them and say, okay, how's it going? How was that school you went to? Did it help you in your job, right? That's what people want, to know that their organization or the leaders are thinking about their future, right? You know, that's what it's supposed to be about. Because then people stay committed. You know, how can an employee stay committed if he doesn't feel like the leader or the managers care about them, right? So anyway, yeah, that's a good point. So Miriam isn't able to participate, but she has a question as well. What's your question? Okay. We're gonna talk about, okay, so what we're gonna do, I'm glad she says that. We're not gonna actually talk about it today. We're gonna schedule another session, maybe in a few days, maybe 3 to 4 days, because there's 3 different phases we're gonna talk about here. The purpose of this meeting or conference was to talk about the qualities. The next one will be to talk about the types or styles of leadership, you know, command style that you would use in the military or maybe law enforcement, okay? Democratic style, okay, when you're with a group of people, okay? Coaching when you're one-on-one, okay? Setting the pace or role models, okay? So there are different styles of leadership, and you use those styles based upon the situation, because not all situations are the same. When I was in the military, there's one style. Okay, when you go into a company, it's kind of a different style, right? So we're actually going to talk about that in the next episode. Hopefully here in 3 to 4 days, we'll get it scheduled. I would encourage all of you to try and participate if you can. And then we're going to do a third session, maybe about 8-9 days from now. And we're going to talk about how do you develop these leadership skills, right? So what is leadership? How do you use leadership in different situations? And then how do you develop the skills necessary to do those things? Okay. So good question. Okay.
So you believe that you can learn them, right?
Hands up, what's that? Yeah. I think there are some. I think leadership is something that is both a mixture of, there are certain things that are innate, right? That I would say there are some people that are more prone to, are predisposed to some of these qualities or traits, character traits I would call them, than others. There are some people that are, find it easier to communicate than other people do. There are some people that just are more empathetic or more compassionate. Okay. So I think in many cases these are character traits that are in some cases innate, but that doesn't mean that, let's use the word patience. Okay. I believe a leader sometimes has to be patient. Okay. Because success doesn't happen immediately in most cases. Can you learn patience? Yeah, that's a skill you can learn. People can learn how to be patient, right? So it may not be easy, but they can learn it. So to me, I think it's a mixture, Jamila, that there are some things that are easier to learn. There are some things that are really tough to learn. Okay? And that might be a good approach. And that's actually a really good, you just give me a good idea. That when we do that session, that might be what we start off with trying to understand is, okay, these 5 qualities, these are 5 qualities that are easier to develop and learn. And you have these other qualities that are more innate and more difficult. So let's focus on the things that are easier to learn. Right?
Yeah.
No, that's a good idea. So what we'll do is as Mariam was saying, she was asking the types of styles. We'll talk about that the next session. And then the final session, we'll talk more about how to develop the appropriate leadership skills. Again, it's going to depend upon the situation. It's what I call situational leadership.
I think we've done this before when we used to do the workshops. I think you already have the PowerPoint and everything, leadership styles, right?
Yeah, I have most of the stuff already. It's I have to play with it a little bit, but yeah, it doesn't take long to put it together. But I want to try and schedule something. But one of the things I want to do is because I think for some people, they're not used to using Zoom. This is kind of like for some people a learning curve in terms of using it. I think we have most of the people here again are either part of the company or people that were our students at the facility. There are some new people here, and happy to see them as well. So I think we're going to start to do this on an ongoing basis, maybe a couple times a week. We'll pick, it's like we do the workshops on Sundays. We'll try to do something like this as well. And we'll, again, similar to what we do with the Skype groups, we'll do kind of a theme approach. So listen, wanted to go ahead and just, and I did record this. So I can make the recording available for you guys if you want. I can go ahead and make that available for everybody. That way, at least even if you join late, you can still listen to some of it. And it was good feedback. Some of you all provided some really good feedback as well. So I think it was very productive. Again, I've done this a couple of times already, but I was doing it purely as a participant, giving a brief. I didn't do it in terms of hosting. I learned a few things tonight. I think the idea of doing polls is important because it gives you a real-time feel for what people think. But yeah, so anyway, any last questions before we wrap up? Any questions?
Not a question, but
Sure.
like another point, like a
Sure.
different one. So I have like an unpopular opinion. I'm not sure if it's popular or not, but I have this opinion that followers are as equally as important, are equally as important as the leader. So we always tend to talk about leadership, leaders, but I think that followers are also very important. Without followers, there cannot be an effective leadership, and
Yeah,
without
yeah.
followers, the leader cannot really achieve what he wants to achieve. So I believe that people shouldn't be ashamed if they're not leaders. Like, not everyone is meant to be a leader, and that's okay.
Yeah,
That's totally okay, because now it's such a mainstream to talk like about leaders and leadership. Like, so I feel that people are starting to feel very ashamed that, for example, they don't have some of these qualities, that they don't see themselves as leaders. But that's totally okay, because obviously, as I said, not everyone is meant to be a leader. And if we were all leaders, then obviously we won't have teams. We won't be able to lead others or to achieve something. Um, Obviously, also there are, just like there are types of leaders, there are types of followers. And I think sometimes it's also important to teach people how to be a good follower, because obviously we don't want the passive followers that would just like do as they're told, or that they won't do as they're told, or like we also want followers that will do as they're told, but at the same time like be as creative as possible, or like give new insights and critical thinking and stuff. So yeah, I do believe that in many cases, being a follower is also as important as being a leader.
Yeah, I certainly, Karama, I would agree with you. I think that you can't have one without the other, right? You know, you can't have, you know, for any organization to work requires a complementary approach between, you know, somebody has to lead, because, you know, that's, you know, we did some events at the facility. We were doing some soft skill courses, and we were giving an example, you know, just, and I think we did it in the workshop too. Just throw people in a room, right? Okay, you 5 people go into the room, come up with, okay, unless somebody assumes a leadership role, usually the 5 people are just going to look at each other, right? Right? Somebody has to act in that role. Okay, it's necessary. Okay, but your point is well taken. These two sides exist in support of the other. Okay, they're somewhat codependent. Okay, you cannot be a leader unless there's somebody that follows. You cannot be a follow. You cannot follow something that doesn't lead. Okay. And both are equally important, because a leader by him or, you know, herself is not going to accomplish a lot. Okay, most things that get accomplished in our society are because teams of people do things, right? It's not because of one person. You know, one thing I found in my career, the best advice for anybody that wants to be a good leader is to surround yourself with really smart people. Okay. Because if you surround yourself with smart people, you know, it's all about knowing the resources, okay? And you know, to me, I've been very fortunate and blessed in my professional career that I've been surrounded by really sharp people, really, you know, innovative, creative, hardworking, intelligent, you know, just good, decent people. So to me, you know, part of effective leadership is knowing how to surround yourself with people that bring those things to the table. Okay, and that's the team.
You know what? I think this is a whole different topic, because from my perspective, when you say this, why don't you try to be the smart person, right?
Well, but
Instead of always looking to, you know, yeah, but you know, because I think this is very challenging for all of us, because we always try to surround ourselves with smart people, and we don't necessarily think about becoming that smart person, you know.
Well,
So I think,
go ahead.
yeah, no, go ahead.
Well, no, I understand your point. It's a good point. I think it's, being smart. I don't even like to use the word. Maybe I chose the wrong word, wrong adjective. Okay. Smart can be used in different ways. Okay. To me, to identify, okay, so we have a project. So we to identify the types of qualities that different people will have that contribute to the success of that project. That in of itself is a form of being smart, right? Your ability to say, okay, these are the qualities I need. He, she, whatever, have these qualities. This is how these qualities complement these other qualities that they have.
Yeah.
That didn't, so go ahead.
I agree with that. I'm sorry, because I'm very passionate about this topic. I agree, but I think this is being an effective manager, because you need to select your team. You have to be smart. You have to gather the different kind of the skill sets that you need for your project. However, I think when you are a leader, you cannot afford yourself the luxury of being selective, because what you are talking about is being selective, right?
Well, and I think there's a balancing act between those two roles, right? The leader and the manager. To me, maybe I'm talking more in terms of the management perspective, but the leadership quality as part of being a manager. To me, a good manager should have some leadership qualities. Okay?
Yes.
I think to say a manager, their only job is to manage resources. I don't get that. Okay.
Yes.
And so anyway, well, what we can do, these are all good points. And I agree with you that, some of these things we're talking about now could be a whole different session that we have. What we'll do is we'll set up an event schedule, as we talked about. We'll try to take this in kind of a methodical, progressive way, so that we can kind of build towards the finale, if you will, which is how do you develop these skills for the ones that can be developed. So listen, it was great. Everyone did a really good job. Thank you so much for the participation. If you know other people, we have a lot of people in our Facebook groups, whether the workshop group or even on our Facebook page, or in our Skype groups. Because I think some people, they indicated to me that they wanted to join, but for whatever reason, they were having a hard time knowing how to go through the event, go to the link. So maybe if you know some of these people, just share with them how to do it. What I'll do again is I will provide the file to all of you. I think I have everybody's name here. So I'll provide the file to all of you. And at your leisure, if you want to go through it again, that's fine. All of you, please take care of yourselves. Thank you for making it, and appreciate it very much. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
So we say, what do we say in Arabic? We say,
مع السلامة.
Yes. I want to.
Yeah. Siddharth. Okay. Siddharth. Okay. All right, everybody. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
I have to figure out how to get out of here. I don't know how to get out of here. Okay. Yes, I guess I'm gonna leave that to everybody else because I don't know how to leave. Okay. There we go.